So I think every horror fan can remember when they started getting into horror, whether they grew up with it or their parents or family members showed it to them or they found it on their own. Now, I found horror movies on my own, which led to some very interesting choices because I made a list of 15 horror movies I could remember watching, the first 15. And I rewatched all 15. Part 1 covered 8, this covers the rest of the 7. So without further ado, one of the very first movies I recently rewatched was Annabelle from about 2014. And this tells the story of the Annabelle doll from the Conjuring franchise universe. Now, I have an interesting relationship with the Annabelle movies in particular because my first real horror movie was Annabelle. The Annabelle sequel was the first horror movie that ever really scared me. I was 12. And the Annabelle 3 was one of the first horror movies I saw in theaters, and I did a Reddit exchange 2019, and that is where I first got my Annabelle Funko Pop that actually started the horror collection, as you can see today. So, Annabelle places a special place in my heart, and unfortunately, I did not like the first Annabelle when I saw it because I thought it was quite boring. I didn't like it. It was very slow, and I still think it is a very slow movie. I do think it is a little bit boring, but I actually found myself entertained in the last 30 minutes, and I actually found myself really liking the husband. I thought he was a very good horror husband, believing his wife, and even saying, like, I won movies, like, we can't maybe put all our money into this place from the other previous incident. And I do think just how they handle how Annabelle actually infiltrated them was interesting to me, quite interesting. But that's the only pros I can get. And the performances they were fine in this one as well. And that's really the pros I can give it because the issues I still have with this movie is I still think it runs too long. Nothing really happens till the last bit of the movie, maybe the first introduction. So it just goes very slow. I still think it is better than I thought it was. It's definitely not the worst movie of the franchise now. But overall, I still think it is a fine movie, and it has gone up for me, but it is still not a great movie in my opinion. Next up, we have The Nun. This is from 2018. That tells the story of like the nun from the Conjuring franchise. Now, I did not like this movie. I thought it was fine the first time I watched it. I thought it was decent enough. On rewatch, no. First of all, how that all worked wasn't done very well. The casting was fine. This movie also had a problem with being too long. I struggled to finish this one as well. I had to take 2 days. It took me 3 days to watch Annabelle, 2 days to watch this one. I also just found the character of Maurice to be not so great in this one, and his whole character was just there for them to get out, which I kind of realized. And it was just a very boring movie to me, really bad. Very jump scary too, like a lot of jump scares in this one. Not a good movie, so that definitely made Annabelle shine a bit more. Not a good one. Next up, I have It Follows from 2014. Now, this tells the story of a demon who follows you after you sleep with someone. First of all, I want to say I understand the symbolism so much more than I did in 2018. But I like this movie so much more in 2018, which is a very weird thing to say because this took me about a day and a half to finish. And I do like it. I think the atmosphere was done very well. I get what they were trying to say, but I didn't find the characters to really be all that interesting, especially the relationship they were trying to push and stuff. I just didn't get that interested in it. I understand people love it. I understand the symbolism. I get it. But this kind of movie is just not for me. It's a good movie, not for me. Next up, I have the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street, the only one of the classics franchises you'll see I first watched on here. And this is the 2010 version remake. And when I first watched this in 2017, I actually liked it. But at that point, I've not seen any other Friday movies. I've not seen a lot of movies at that point. I did not know exactly what was wrong with it, which is very ironic given my family history. But now that I'm older and I can pick up on things, the biggest mistake this movie made was having Freddy be so obvious about what he was doing. What? Now, yes, the stuff that was going on in this one was undertoned in the original, but this movie basically made it to front stage. It also spoon-fed you every single thing. And Nancy was not a good Nancy in this one. Now, I do think the Freddy Krueger was fine in this one. I don't have any complaints about the guy who played Freddy Krueger in this. I mean, when you're up to England, you're bound to lose, but I think he was good in this one. I enjoyed his role as Freddy Krueger. But the other problems with this movie with the side cast also, I didn't really care for. But I do actually find that it's visually not that bad, honestly, like the school. But overall, there's so many problems with this movie. And now that I'm older and I recognize what is actually wrong with this movie, it is not good. The original is way better. Definitely a lot more scary than this one ever is. Not a good one. Next up is 2017 Death Note. Now, as far as I know, this is based off of some anime or comic or something. I'm not into that, so I don't know exactly much about that, so I can't give you like the actual what it's based off of. But the movie by itself tells a story of a kid who got the notebook, who writes their name and how they die, and their name and how they die. Now, I thought this movie was fine as well when I first saw it, and it is pretty bad. Now, first of all, let's start with the characters. The characters in this one is not great, especially the ship between Mia and the other guy. I honestly forgot his name. That's how bad it is for me. I just didn't care for them. Mia's character was a bit interesting, I guess, but I didn't care for the characters. I also found the acting to be not on par as well. And just the way everyone interacted was not great. The deaths were fine-ish. Bordering bad, not great. The deaths were fine. And with what they were trying to do, it did not work at all. Basically, the whole movie is just bad. Would not recommend. It is below generic to me. It is not a good movie. Next up is the 2018 Truth or Dare Blumhouse. This was again one of the first theater experiences I had with one of my best friends at the time. So with that experience, I'm like, oh, this is not a bad movie. That's actually pretty good. Well, a couple of years later on rewatch, it is pretty bad. First off, again, I'm going to start off with our characters. Not really good characters, not really believable. And I really have vengeance against the whole relationship between Margie and the boyfriend. I've been cheated on. I don't like cheaters. So just how she expected empathy and all that stuff. I did not like her character in this. I understand we were supposed to, but she didn't really become likable throughout the movie just because of off the bat of that. And she did not believe her friend with what she did to her father. Again, not that it's the same, but I had something in my family happen. And with that kind of taken into me, I'm like, not believing because your dad killed himself and you didn't want to believe it. I get if you don't want to believe it, but like your best friends, why did they lie about that? So I just did not like her character. I also, the gore is pretty low. I did not care for it. There's just so much bad about this movie. It's painfully generic. It is bad. It is Blumhouse's bad. It is not a good movie. Maybe for like an 11, 12-year-old, if you're trying to get into it, I guess, but not a good one, y'all. And last is Lights Out from 2016. Now this is about a demon who cannot exist without the light and how it jumps on their family trauma. Now this is again a movie I really liked when I was younger. And I saw this around, I think 2017 or 2018, I can't even remember which year. And I like the character relationships in this. I also found that it was pretty entertaining, and I also was scared of the dark when I was younger, so that purged on a fear of mine. But on rewatch, I found it to be painfully generic. The characters are a little bit weird in this one, especially like the boyfriend / friends with benefits situation, never really established. Kind of in this situation, how he was like, don't do that to your mom, that's mean, don't do that, call CPS, what they're for, blah, 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 blah. And then you get to later on in the movie, it's like a switch where he's like, okay, let's do this, I'll take care of him, I got you. And that switch. The mom was also kind of a switch for me, which I guess is understandable with her character, but I didn't really care for the character either. The older sister I thought was fine, so I didn't really care for the characters in this one. It's plain with being generic. The creature design, albeit, was very creepy, and I found that actually very creepy with how that kind of went to the story. And again, this movie does spoon fed you, but it's not as bad as other movies, honestly, for this one. But overall, I do think it is just plain as day fine and more of, like, as an introduction. That was one of my introduction movies. Anyways, so that is part 2. This is the last video. I hope you guys like this. Comment down below some ideas you may want me to film, or some movies that you watched from your first introduction to horror that you can remember liking or watching. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys soon with a new video.